Okay, so this is a Symetrix CL150 compressor. I picked this up a long time ago, probably on eBay for like 40 bucks. I don't think I paid very much for it at all. And to be honest, I actually really love this thing. It's a good subtle compressor. I don't use it very heavily. I just use it just for some really light compression on some of the sources I run in, a lot of guitars. You know, I might even use it on vocals a little bit, just a little touch, maybe 1-2 lights on the vocal. Yeah, it's a great compressor. To be honest, I would much rather have one of these than sort of your cheaper DVX units or whatever. So I actually have a DVX 266 that doesn't get used too much, and I think I might sell it and pick up another one of these because you can still kind of find them pretty cheap. I think people have sort of caught on with these things and sort of figured out that they are a pretty decent compressor for not a lot of money. Here's the circuit. They do have quite a bit to it. It even has a Valley People VCA, which is pretty awesome. So what I'm going to do to it over the next little bit is it actually started causing issues with just cutting out. I have a feeling it's just a bad pot, so I will be replacing all of the pots. There's two A50Ks and two B50Ks, and then a 500K for the release, I believe. Yeah, it's an A500K for the release control here. But in the meantime, while I'm actually waiting for some pots to come in, I do have the A50Ks, but I am waiting for the Bs. In the meantime, I will be replacing. I'm going to do a recap, so I'm going to throw new capacitors in on all of these 4.7 microfarad caps. And there's a 10 microfarad cap right here, right by the attack switch, manual switch. So I'll be replacing all of those caps. It is a fairly old unit, and I'm going to put some nice sort of Panasonic ones in, replace these axial caps. I do, maybe something else that's suspect. When I got it, the first time I opened it up, I noticed a bunch of sort of film all over the place, and the switches were actually kind of sticky, especially the stereo switch. So I did pick up a couple new switches. I did pick up a switch for the stereo slave switch, but I didn't look at the voltage level for it, and it's the wrong switch. It's way too small. So I don't even have another one of these things. Like I said, I might pick one up, so that stereo slave switch might come in handy. But it won't get used very often, and it's really not that big of a deal. I did spray some electronic cleaner in there and try to work it a bit, so it is much better now. But these other two, I'm going to just flat out replace them. And then I might go the distance and swap out some of these op-amps for some better op-amps that I think I've got in the parts bin anyway. So yeah, so I've popped off the top. It's just I don't know, 7 or 8 screws on the top panel, and then I think the way we need to get into this thing to get to the circuit board so we can flip it upside down is by pulling all these pots off and the whole front plate, and then I think the circuit board will slide out this way towards me. So we're going to give that a go. You will need one of these hexagonal, I don't know if you can see that, screwdriver bits to get into these front the screws on the front. So let's give that a try. I don't know what the size is. It was the smallest one I had in the pack, so. Okay, there's the plate. Kind of nice, so we can actually clean that up in the meantime. Make it look all pretty. And we'll have to pull this bracket off as well, which is just a regular old Phillips on the bottom. Oop, dropped a screw. So on the other side here, there's a sort of a series of cables that come from the power supply, so from the transformer, and they just pull off. And there is one more screw right here beside these two large caps. There we go. So the XLR, I was wondering about the XLR jacks because they're riveted in these cases, but they do clip in kind of like so. I don't know if you can see that. There's some little clips that sort of clip them into the socket. So not too bad. Pull it out. So far so good. Here's a close-up of the board. Okay, put this off to the side. And now we can actually have a look at the bottom side of it. Now my one question and concern is these some of the caps. You can see that this cap right here, this capacitor sort of nestled in here, that has a negative line on it. That one indicates the polarity of it, but a lot of these other ones don't. It's just labeled, and then on the back side it's just dark, just black. So I don't know if there's any really way to know the polarity of these capacitors. Okay, so I've removed the switch, one switch. Came out pretty easy actually. It is full of guck though, that's for sure. So let's pull this off. And I'm gonna need, I don't know, the new switch didn't come with the little, this little guy. This tiny little metal piece. So I don't know why the switch didn't come with that, but maybe you have to order them specific like that, I don't know. But the part fits and it works. I'm going to solder one lug, and then make sure it's nice and tight against the circuit board. There we go. There's the new switch. I have a feeling these are all non-polarized. I'm going to do some research into that. I think you can find the schematics for these online, so I'm going to double check that. Pretty easy. So these are the part number. Probably can't see that. It's 4011225-ND. And that's from DigiKey. There's that little switch. Converts it from a momentary into a latchable switch. There we go. 2 new switches. Much better. Okay, so I'm going through and replacing some of the capacitors. This is the new one. There's a couple new ones. I'm going to replace that one. Those are all the ones that I can tell that are polarized. I still have to do some research on these other ones to see what's up with them because they have no polarity marking on them. I'm going to do this one next. Okay, so I've replaced two power supply caps, all of these three, and then this one over here, and these two right here. These two caused me a bit of trouble. I lifted a trace on the bottom side. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but it'll work. I tested the continuity of it, and it seems to be alright. It's pretty solid, so we'll just go with that. So far so good. I've replaced everything except for these capacitors that I don't know the polarity on. They're 4.7 microfarads, so I don't know if you can get film caps. I mean, I'm sure you can, but they're probably not cheap. Non-polarized, like the film caps to put these in. I'll have to have a look and see. I'm gonna replace these two 50K pots right now because I have those right now. I'm still waiting for the other ones, but so this one and this one are audio logarithmic pots, and they're 50K. So let's see if we can desolder them. Be careful here because I don't want to lift the traces again. There we go. Pop that one off. There we go, that's a new output makeup gain potentiometer. There you go, that's all the pots. I also replaced the opamps. I put in 5532s. And the opamps, just because I had them in my bin. And I can't source out these, figure these ones out. I might just leave those for now. Come back another day. So we'll try to put it together and see what we get. Okay, there it is in the case. Back in the case. All the new knobs are on. New switches, new op amps. You got to remember to put this little sheet underneath here. Protects the circuit board from touching the frame. And then it's got this little mounting bracket. You got to put it back on. And reconnect the power supply, which is this little connector here. Just wiggles on and off. There we go. And then the faceplate. Alright, there we go. Put some fancy red new knobs on. Everything feels nice and smooth now. It's awesome. The switches are not gummy. It's like a brand new unit. Pretty stoked about this. Looks sharp. Alright everybody, thanks for watching.